I am the female secretary of the ancient domineering President Wenli. It's the kind that doesn't have a name at the end of the day, surnamed secretary and name book, wears a tight black dress every day, and steps on 10-centimeter high heels in front of the president, humbly praying for the president's attention, a woman who hates her heroine to the core. Everyone is talking about me. Actually I don't, I'm so wronged. The president thought I liked him because the author deliberately wrote it like this, making readers think that women all over the world are fascinated by the charm of the president, so as to highlight the extraordinariness of the heroine. After all, she is the only one who loves the president, unmoved female. The one who gave me the motivation to spend 45 minutes every day before going out to make up was actually the director of the sales department downstairs. Minister Zhang in Mr. Ba's article nodded and bowed to the president every day, wishing to kneel down and call Dad. In fact, Minister Zhang is not like that. Minister Zhang is tall and handsome, but the author just opened his eyes to set off the president, and wrote Minister Zhang as greasy, which made me very angry. I still remember the day I came for the interview. I went the wrong way, and I was going to be late for the interview soon. I just graduated and I couldn't panic. Fortunately, I met the kind and unpretentious Minister Zhang. Not only he kindly took me outside the president's office and patiently told me a lot of interview skills. It is because of Minister Zhang that I decided to stay in this company. Afterwards, I often had lunch with people from the sales department, and occasionally I ran into Minister Zhang twice. One time I accidentally saw Minister Zhang answering the call from the president. Minister Zhang chewed a toothpick and rolled his eyes while replying respectfully. Only then did I realize that everyone was acting in front of the president. There is no way, the author is blind, and we have to eat properly. Minister Zhang hung up the phone and found that I was looking at him. He was stunned for a second, and then gave me a you-know look. One shot. At that time, I decided to pick Minister Zhang as my destiny. Oh, it seems to be off topic, continue to talk about the president. I'm getting more and more intolerable of the president lately. In addition to the outstanding appearance that the author forced on him, this person is really useless from head to toe, only low emotional intelligence, and low IQ. Last night I was at home having a sweet dream of making stuffed with Minister Zhang, when my phone rang suddenly. I touched my phone, it was 4:25. At such a time, only the real 250, the CEO with a negative EQ of 250, would call me. This is not a good sign. I only had to read it 5 times when I first started last month. The president's voice was as sinister as always. 10 minutes, if you can't see you in my office, you'll get out. Okay. I hung up the phone silently, turned on the computer and typed 4 words, resignation application. Although I hate the president, I am a good and dedicated employee after all. With the written resignation application in my arms, I rushed to the president's office in the middle of the night. Opened the door just in time for the end of a multinational video conference. I stood by the wall and listened silently for a while. They seemed to be saying that Huangfu Mario couldn't be proud. Oh ha, the second male has appeared. Huangfu Mario can't be proud of the sky. Forget the name is too long, let's call it the second male in the future. The identity of the second male in the book is an actor who has fascinated thousands of girls, and is also the president of the second largest multinational group in the world. Of course, the president's family and Huangfu's family must have inexhaustible grievances, and the president and the second male are also secretly fighting each other. The president sneered in a cold voice with a hunting look, oh, like heel Weisdo. I took out a note from my bag, wrote the words 3 orders now, touched it silently, and stuck it on the president's desk. The president glanced at me indifferently, and was very dissatisfied with me interrupting him. I handed a second note, it does. The president was furious, and his eyes flashed with terrifying coldness. The big guy on the opposite side of the video chatted again, expressing his anger at the disobedience of the Huangfu family. The president smiled coldly, with the appearance of winning, now Uri. The convention is now arise, you can say don't worry. I handed the third note. I'm having a really hard time. But these few sentences were written by the author. After thinking about it, I should bear with it, and I lowered my head and returned to the wall. The video conference soon ended. The president turned to look at me with those bewitching eyes, and sneered condescendingly, "You are the first woman who dares to talk to me like that." I didn't say a word, I wrote it. The president's clear and cold voice sounded, with a little anger, I said 10 minutes, you are late. I recalled several times and confirmed that there was no such meeting on the agenda, but it was indeed my work mistake that no one recorded the minutes of the meeting. I sincerely apologized to the president, I'm sorry, because my home is too far away from the company, so I was delayed a little while on the road. I will find a room near the company tomorrow for rent. The president was satisfied with my sincere attitude of admitting mistakes, and turned to talk about the second mail, with a thin and cruel smile on his thin lips. "Huangfu Mario can't be proud to think so, can you beat me?" Ha, joke. The plain tone of the president made people chill. "You, buy the Huangfu group tomorrow." I don't know who the people with chills the author wrote at this time, it's not me anyway. I am deeply saddened by the president's legal blindness. President, do you know that the Huangfu family is the second largest group after yours? The group is full of listed companies, did you know? The president looked at me blankly, so what? After the market opened, I bought all the stocks of the Huangfu family, killing him by surprise. Within 3 days from the date of the occurrence of the fact, a written report shall be made to the regulatory agency and the exchange, the listed company shall be notified, and an announcement shall be made, within the aforesaid period, no further trading of the listed company's stock shall be allowed. This is common sense in economic law. As the president of Bassian Group, how can you be legally blind? The president's dark eyes stared at me for a long time, as always, concisely, what do you mean? The president is a person with no knowledge of securities law, I should not have any expectations of him. I took a few deep breaths, that means you can't kill him by surprise. The president nodded thoughtfully. The second uncle of the Huangfu family and Huangfu Mario have always been at odds with each other. He holds 30% of the shares of the Huangfu family. Start there, you can do it, and let him make an offer. After I finished speaking, I did not forget to tell me in a ruthless tone, do it in private, don't let the wind leak out. The act of holding shares in the hand constitutes a tender offer, and a tender offer report shall be prepared, a financial consultant shall be hired, the target company shall be notified, and a reminder announcement shall be made on the summary of the tender offer report. The president lived up to expectations and continued to look at me with slender and deep eyes. What do you mean? I pinched the palm of my hand and controlled myself not to slam the door and leave. Just don't do it secretly, Mr. Huangfu will know. The president waved his hand impatiently. Just do as you said, just negotiate with the second uncle, and immediately propose to the board of directors to fire Huangfu Mario. This idiot didn't understand what I was saying. And there are so many flaws in his sentence, I don't know where to start. As the president of the world's largest listed company, don't you know that there is a shareholder meeting on the board of directors? I decided to choose the shortest and most direct angle to cut in, lest the sentence is too long to understand. During the tender offer, the director of the acquired company may not resign. The president used his world's top brain seed to come up with an exquisite idea. Let's talk about the acquisition first, release the news, and cancel the cooperation at the last minute, causing the Huangfu family's stock price to plummet. I usually read several other domineering CEO articles. I don't know why the CEOs are so obsessed with this kind of operation. During the commitment period determined by the takeover offer, the acquirer shall not revoke its takeover offer. The president finally got angry, he slapped the table, everyone trembled with fear. This is all you have to consider, not me. I will ask you, tomorrow at this time, can I buy the Huangfu group? I said firmly and forcefully, no. By the way, I made a statement in my heart, author, there is no everyone here, only me, don't write a ghost story. The president's expression suddenly solidified, his eyes were dangerous and angry. You were fired. Without warning, the big chandelier above his head flashed and slammed straight towards me. The author wants to kill me. I was so scared that I squatted on the ground with my head in my arms, and shouted into the air, "You are right, President." A gust of wind suddenly blew from the central air conditioner, the chandelier shook in the air, flew out of the door in a way that violated all Newton's laws, and fell to the ground after a few turns. Too dangerous, almost dead ball. I haven't successfully attacked the next Minister Zhang, so I can't just die so hastily. So when I got home, I did a deep reflection. The author did not get angry when I rejected the unreasonable request of the president and spread the knowledge of economic law to the president. It seems that the bottom line of this book is probably that you can't face the president to the point of resigning. It may be that the author is too lazy to describe the world too completely when he builds the framework. I resigned myself to my fate and dialed the phone number I left on the internet. The phone is on. The landlord is a middle-aged lady who is very frank and told me that the house was left to her before her husband died. The days were unsustainable, so I had no choice but to tear down the house into a single room and rent it out to subsidize the family. I was sighed and sighed. She is a ill-fated and self-reliant woman, and I asked again, the rent price is also very friendly, and there is only one vacant room left. I hurriedly asked her if she was ready today easy to see the house. The landlady said yes, she has something to do today and will come home later, but her son is there all day. The landlady then asked some more about me, sign a rental agreement with me. What a very legal lady, I applaud her from the bottom of my heart. I was afraid that the only vacant room left would be rented out by others, so I grabbed a little something to eat, and hurried out to the city center. The place is easy to find. I got off the bus, took the small note with the address and searched for a while, and came across a very beautiful two-story building with a light pink exterior. It should be not long after the repainting. There are two small flower beds in the yard, one on the left and one on the right. The colorful flowers are blooming brilliantly. At a glance, you can see that the landlady must be a woman with a lot of interest in life. I pushed aside the white garden fence and called out into the garden, "Anyone?" No one answered. I walked through the small flower bed, climbed the 3-level low ladder and knocked on the door. The door is unlocked, just push it open. It may be because the house is divided into single rooms for rent, and it is inconvenient for tenants to enter and exit every day, so simply unlock it. I put the probe inside. Hello, is there anyone? I came to see the house. At the end of the corridor stood a man and a woman, all of whom looked like college students in their early 20s. The girl's complexion was fair and delicate, so beautiful that it eclipsed everything in the world. Drooping tears hung on her long feathered eyelashes, trembling up and down with the blink of an eye, glittering in the sunlight. This is a girl purer than teardrops, anyone who sees it will have an urge to protect her. Oh, only the heroine can afford this kind of description. Neither of them looked at me. I didn't want to leave the landlord's son with the illusion of sneaking into someone else's house, so I coughed heavily. They still pretend I don't exist. I moved towards them step by step, until I stood between the two. They still didn't lift their eyelids to glance at me. Well, probably have to wait until they finish this conversation. I leaned back against the wall and waited silently, as quiet as a chicken. The landlord's son was shocked. What? Your stepmother really kicked you out? The heroine bit her lower lip and shook her head. Auntie also has difficulties, the little master doesn't blame her. Seeing the weak appearance of the heroine, the landlord's son felt as if his heart was captured by something, and the heroine was too simple and kind. He felt both angry and distressed. Little lord, don't say good things for that poisonous woman again. The beloved heroine was bullied by her vicious stepmother to such a degree that she still had kindness in her heart, and the landlord's son was so distressed that he was speechless. I think it's a little boring to just stand. I want to buy a pack of sunflower seeds and sit next to it. The landlord's son is full of heroic spirit, don't be afraid. There is still an vacant room in my house, so you can move over to my house. With me, I will never let that woman bully you again. I was startled, jumped forward, raised my hand and waved desperately in front of the landlord's son. Hey, sorry, your mother has agreed to rent the house to me. The landlord's son's eyes seemed to pass through my body and looked at the hostess. The landlord's son smiled dotingly. Little fool, you are so innocent and cute, how could anyone in this world dislike you? I got goosebumps because I was poking between these two people, and the landlord's son was looking at me. I slapped the landlord's son on the shoulder. Hey, brother! I'm here to see the house. The landlord's son finally found out that I was waiting for me. Who are you? I extended my hand politely. Hello, Mr. Wang? I am a tenant who made an appointment with your mother to come to see the house. I communicated with your mother on the phone before. Your mother he has already expressed his willingness to rent the room to me. The landlord's son didn't mean to shake hands with me at all. Rent to you? What about the little landlord? She is so pitiful and helpless, how can you be so vicious? The hostess shook the landlord's son's arm aggrievedly. Brother Xiao Wang, please stop arguing, since this sister wants to live, leave the room to her, the host is fine. The big deal is just sleeping on the street, the little master really doesn't matter. I think this plot is going a bit wrong. Why did I suddenly become the villain who forced the heroine away? No, I know that I will become the villain who persecutes the heroine, but I didn't expect it to come so easily and so quickly. It stands to reason that my plot should wait for the heroine to enter the president's company. I took a deep breath, stabilized my emotions, and planned to reason with Xiao Wang. I know she's pitiful, but it's always a first come, right? Your mother has promised to leave the last room empty. The rent was given to me, and I told my original landlord that I would not rent it today, but you suddenly regret it, and I am homeless. The landlord's son shouted heartily, if you don't rent this room, all you lose is a place to live, and what the little master will lose is her sense of security. I was stunned, my brain circuit cramped a little, and I couldn't get it right. I have never seen such a vicious woman as you. Even such a helpless and weak girl, you are so bad. I can't watch such a gentle and beautiful girl live and become homeless. I give her my room. Before I could react, the uncle rushed out of the door with his bag, and before going out, he turned his head and snorted heavily at me to show his disdain. Well, no matter how tortuous the process is, the problem is finally solved. One person is one room, and there is no need to fight anymore. At this time, the landlady came back from outside and shook hands with me kindly as soon as I entered the door. Later, when I heard that the hostess lived in their house, her face changed immediately. No. I don't agree. It seems that the landlady is also one of the vicious female supporting roles. Xiao Wang looked at the landlady in disbelief. Mom, the little master has been kicked out of the house by her stepmother, how can you be so cruel? If you don't let the little master live at home, I will too move out together. The landlady looked at her son who was fascinated by beauty, and was distressed. Oh, forget it, I'm old, I can't care about your young people. You two want to rent me house, come and sign the contract with me. After signing the contract with the landlady, I called a moving company and went back to the original rental place to move the furniture and luggage. The room has been unoccupied for a while, and a lot of dust has accumulated. I have done a big cleaning inside and out. I was so tired that I collapsed on the bed and couldn't move. The phone on the table rang. In the middle of the night, it must be the president again. No rest on weekends, alas. I picked up the phone feebly. Hello, President. The president's low-end voice came from the phone, and the instructions were still very brief and unclear. 10 minutes, I want to know all the information about this woman. Beep beep beep, the phone hung up. Hey? Which woman? What information? How many minutes? My hands were twitching, desperately trying to reach for the resignation application in my bag, and I was a little out of control. It was too late, and the cloudless night sky suddenly struck a thunder. The author, I was wrong, I will not resign. I dialed the phone back in a heartbeat. President, can you give me some more information? Which lady do you want to inquire about? The president let out a long sigh. Oh, after so many years, my heart will finally hurt. Beep beep beep, it hurts your grandma's leg. I had to take out the company's employee address book and turn to the phone number of Lao Zhao, the president and driver. I'm sorry for waking up so late, so I tentatively sent a text message to Lao Zhao. Mr. Zhao, you well, I'm the little secretary in the secretary's office, I'm sorry to disturb you so late. Old Zhao is very polite, and he is also a divine man who is unpredictable. It's a little secret. You want to ask the girl the president met today, right? My God, there is someone who finally understands. I almost burst into tears. Lao Zhao quickly responded to the news. The president was stepped on by the girl who was selling beer at the door of the nightclub today, and he lost his mind after that. Another text message followed. I thought that all the bad boys who went to the nightclub, I only knew I was wrong when I saw her. It turns out that there are such innocent girls in the nightclub. Okay, I know who it is. Also, who would go to the door of the nightclub to sell beer? I cheated. In order to find all the information about the heroine in the remaining 5 minutes, I went to the outline and character design written by the author. The female protagonist is a senior student at Cha Cha University, the most famous first-class university in the city. The second year after the mother's death, the mother's father married her stepmother, and the stepmother gave birth to a son resolutely after entering the house. Then the heroine's father was ridden to death before she appeared, and left all the family property to the stepmother and her son. The self-improving and independent heroine of course firmly refused. It was not until Xiao Wang compromised and agreed to collect the rent that the hostess agreed to move in. In order to earn rent money, there is a scene where the hostess sells beer at the door of the nightclub. She deserves to be the heroine of this book, and her body shines brightly. I sent all the information I know about the heroine to the president in the form of WeChat, because I copied the author's outline, which is easier to copy and paste. And I don't really want to talk to the president. The president did not reply to me, maybe he was too busy to experience the heartache. After enjoying a happy Sunday, I went to run for the president on Monday morning. After returning to the company in the afternoon, I unexpectedly heard from the lady at the front desk that the hostess was coming for an interview. Beer promotion is a short-term job after all, not long-term. The diligent and motivated heroine has always been looking forward to working in the world's top Bassian Group. After seeing the recruitment information that Bassian Group is recruiting interns on the internet, she came to the interview excitedly. Such exciting news, of course I have to inform the president as soon as possible. I don't know what to do at home, anyway. The president, who never goes to work, receives my call, and hangs up with a humming sound. Then appeared in the company 10 minutes later. Ah, the body is honest. I have long ago brought the hostess to the president's office and told her that my colleagues in the personnel department went to the team building today, and the president interviewed her personally and asked her to wait for a while. I'm such a clever little creature to make up such a reason. As soon as the CEO's car arrived downstairs, I immediately went downstairs to meet him, press the elevator floor for him, and block the elevator door for him. It's just that I've done all the calculations and forgot about the progress of the novel. The male and female protagonists were together as soon as they appeared, so what should I write next? The moment I opened the door of the president's office, I suddenly realized that I was too happy. The innocent hostess thought it was the lounge, and drank the iced coffee that the CEO had dripped all afternoon, and accidentally dropped the diamond, stone, ice, drip pot after drinking it. There is no doubt that the president feels that the heroine's behavior is pure and unpretentious, unlike other coquettish women. But I'm pissed. In order to buy this unique ice drip jug in the world, the president made me fly to South Africa to buy diamonds, and the human flesh was sent to Europe for production. The manufacturers of each component are also distributed in different countries. I sat in a European plane, train, subway, taxi until I vomited, and then I flew back. The jet lag made my face full of pimples in those days, and I could only fly in economy class. My lumbar intervertebral disc was protruding, and the economy class of international flight. Forget it, who knows? There are also visas for so many countries. South Africa is just that. The Schengen visa is really difficult. It's really the president's mouth, and the secretary broke his leg. I am now afraid that the president will ask me to buy a new diamond, stone, ice, dripping pot. The president of course doesn't care if I am happy or not. He kicked me out with a 10,000-year iceberg face, and interviewed the heroine by himself. After I came out, I gently closed the door of the president's office, and before I turned around and walked out 10 steps, the angry hostess slammed the door and came out. I'm a little surprised, but it's not particularly surprising. Alas, I still can't let the person with negative emotional intelligence from the president pick up the girl himself. I hurriedly entered the president's office, bowed slightly and waited for the president's inquiry. The president must not know why the heroine is leaving. Sure enough, there was a hint of doubt on the slashed face of the CEO. As soon as the heroine introduced herself, the president proposed to let the heroine live in his 1,000 square kilometer villa. The heroine really felt that she was insulted by her personality and strictly refused. And then angrily slammed the door away. The corners of my eyes twitched a bit after listening to this, and I felt that the president could not understand the thoughts of ordinary people. If you say that, the hostess may mistakenly think that you want to keep her. The president snorted coldly, "Woman, you have successfully caught my attention." I quickly photographed the heroine's rainbow fart. The heroine is unwilling, which shows how free, equal, just, dedicated, an honest girl she is. People are hard, don't give up. If you give up after a small blow, then you will not be the president of the world. In just a few seconds, the CEO came up with a brilliant idea with his fabulous brain circuit. As long as you buy the landlady's house in someone else's name, and then drive out the hostess, if the hostess is homeless, she may agree to live in the president's villa. As a conscientious secretary, I think it is my responsibility to inform the president of the legal risks of doing so. President, this will not work. According to the provisions of the contract law, the sale and purchase cannot break the lease. The president leaned back slightly on the swivel chair worth 80 million, and squinted at me. What do you mean? I explained the legal provisions to the president. If the ownership of the leased property changes during the lease period, it will not affect the validity of the lease contract. The president nodded noncommittally. You first contact the landlord privately and let her set the price at will, and then negotiate first. More than 2 months. I have been employed for more than 2 months, and there has never been a single visit. The CEO listened to what I said. I held back my tears, remembered the resignation application letter that was not seen in my backpack, and continued to try to stop the president from a different angle. The lessor sells the rental house, it should be within a reasonable period of time before selling. The lessee shall be notified within the notice that the lessee shall have the right to purchase with equal conditions. The president looked at me with dark and deep eyes, and his hoarse voice was sinister and sinister. What do you mean? That is, if the landlady wants to sell the house, the hostess has the right to propose to buy a house before you. Even if the hostess has no money to buy it now, at least the landlady has to inform her. A hint of impatience appeared on the president's eyebrows. I hurriedly made a summary. All in all, if the landlady wants to sell the house, the hostess will know in advance. The president had a cold and handsome face. Ying Ting raised his eyebrows slightly, and changed the point of entry. She is short of money. I thought for a while. It should be, but it is recommended that you do not directly give cash to the hostess, transfer money, etc. It is easy to be considered to be scheming. When I say this, I feel like a bank clerk trying to persuade a granny who wants to pay a scammer. The president's face was extremely ugly. She doesn't want to be my mistress. The meaning of that expression is, who is unwilling to be the mistress of the president of my number one Bassian group? Good thing. I told the story that the heroine was unwilling to eat and drink at Xiao Wang's house for free, promise to be someone else's mistress. The president made a ruthless determination, I must get her people and heart. You ask all the banks to stop her credit cards, set up a financial company, lend her money, and order one high interest that she can't afford. I took out my notebook and wrote it down. Okay, what do you think is the right interest rate? The president's answer was straightforward, 500%. Then I can't pay back the money and I can only commit myself to you, right? Ah, that's beautiful to think about. The legal regulations on private lending are very strict, boss. If the interest rate agreed by the borrower and the borrower does not exceed the annual interest rate of 24%, and the lender requests the borrower to pay the interest at the agreed interest rate, the People's Court shall support it. The interest rate agreed by the borrower and the borrower exceeds the annual interest rate of 36%, and the excess part of the interest is agreed upon. Invalid. The president's eyes were filled with terrifying savagery, and he asked word by word, what did you say? Well, this paragraph is very confusing. I tore a page of notebook paper and handed it over. Would you like to take notes? The president seemed to have heard some shocking joke. Me? My brain with an IQ of 780, one of the top 10 smart brains in the world, still need to take notes. People can be confident, but being conceited is a bit ridiculous. I took a step back with my arms crossed. Then tell me, what is the maximum annual interest rate that meets the legal requirements in the paragraph I just said? Presidents are indecisive between 24% and 36%. I don't think I can force him anymore. I'm happy to be quick, but the author may strike me with lightning. The president avoided the quiz game about loan interest rates and gave me another order, don't bother, just buy the hostess company. Although the company of the hostess is not as large as Bassian Group and Huangfu Group, it is considered a relatively large company in China. The author set a market value of 2 billion. I took out the notepad again. Okay, the market value of Mizu's company is 2 billion, which part of the funds do you plan to use for the merger attempt? The president looked at me in disbelief, gradually became angry, grabbed a few magazines from the table and smashed them in front of me. I warn you, this is the last chance I give you. I glanced at the ground from the corner of my eye. Oh, those are the rainbow fart magazines that boast about his worth of hundreds of billions. I nodded and praised sincerely, the cover shot is good. May I ask which part do you plan to use? What about the funds to buy the company owned by the hostess? The president raised his arms and propped his chin, with a proud ruthlessness in his eyes. Can't you read words? I'm worth hundreds of billions, hundreds of billions. I feel very embarrassed. I vaguely feel that several of the domineering president articles I have read in my spare time have this problem. I turned over last year's audit report, spread out the page of the balance sheet and put it in front of the president. Look, your worth is made up of many, many parts, including your real estate, luxury cars, etc., but the largest part is your net worth assets. Take Bassian Group as an example. Do you know the basic accounting formula that assets equal liabilities plus owner's equity? Net assets are, the president interrupted me impatiently, tell me the point. Okay. That is to say, although you are worth hundreds of billions, it does not mean that there are 100 billion liquid assets lying in the bank account for you to use at any time. This sentence made the president's eyes ignite a frightening fire. I am worth hundreds of billions, and I don't even have 2 billion in cash. No, 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 no. Inner rage is one thing, my expression is still humble, yes, really not. The president's eyebrows and eyes were instantly stained with frost, which was a sign of his anger, and his voice was filled with faint anger. Secretary, this is your negligence in your work. People who scold me can, but I will never allow others to belittle my professionalism. I took a big step forward and explained to the president righteously, no, if there is too much cash on the book, it proves that the company's working capital management is problematic. Let me introduce you to the best cash holdings analysis, although this business school must be taught, and I don't know why you haven't learned it, but this point is very important for managing a company, please be sure to listen. The president turned his 80 million swivel chair again, facing me with a straight back. Secretary, this is your job, not mine. I seem to know what this swivel chair does. Because of the president's obscenity and prestige, I failed to realize my desire to be a teacher for the president, but I still seized the last chance before the president became angry, and quickly finished the key content of this teaching. Cash assets are extremely liquid but extremely unprofitable. The president should feel very tired at the moment. He turned back, put one hand on his delicate forehead, and sighed slightly. My money is all in the overseas shadow bank, you can transfer it, come in. Hey yo, big pigs trotters also know the 4 words shadow banking, and progress. But unfortunately, it doesn't work. I ruthlessly broke the president's false illusion. President, have you ever understood the foreign exchange management system for the capital account? The president was afraid that I would start a long speech again, and immediately exuded an irresistible force. You can say yes or no. I stood up straight and said loudly, no. Mergers and acquisitions is a complex process, and I can explain to you in detail the financial and legal aspects involved. The president is indeed a man who turned the tide, and ended my endless chatter with one sentence, Secretary, you go to Europe to make a new ice-dripping pot. My lumbar vertebrae, my coccyx vertebrae, I'm sorry for you, woohoo. After more than a month, I returned to Bassian Group with a new diamond, stone, ice, dripping pot. The heroine has successfully entered the Bassian Group as an intern to work, and the position is the secretary assistant. As an important villain in this tyrant article, my heroine abuse career is about to begin. Excited to rub hands. On the first day I arrived at the company, I found that I had missed too much in the past month. The president launched a warm pursuit to the heroine with his unique code of conduct, although the method was a bit radical, so that the heroine mistakenly thought that the president was in Pua. The heroine took advantage of the weekend to shoot an advertisement part-time, and met the actor and male second Huangfu Mario, who was arrogant, and was fiercely pursued by the male second. The second man invited the hostess to eat at the city's most exclusive restaurant, put on a suit jacket for the hostess thoughtfully, drove the hostess home in a luxury car, and was photographed by the paparazzi. It's no wonder that the president is lost today. Think about it, a gentle, considerate, romantic and rich actor, and an ignorant and emotional control problem, anyone will choose the former. Also, the president replaced the wall between the president's office and the secretary's room with a large transparent glass in order to peep at the heroine in an open and honest way. I will not be able to fish again during working hours, I am so sad. When I brought this quarter's financial statements into the president's office, I caught a president who was peeking at the heroine. Anyway, I haven't seen the president do any serious work. In the future, his work content will probably be to watch the heroine. It's good, as long as he doesn't want any monsters, Bassian Group should be able to operate soundly. The president was not embarrassed to be caught by a voyeur. He picked up the sheets of paper and flipped through them at will. So much. I knew the CEO would ask this question, but he couldn't understand anything except the income line, because the income criterion has changed. The future income recognition has become a 5-step method. The president was furious, and smashed the report on the table with a slap. Oh, I knew it was Huangfu Mario who couldn't be proud of himself. No, it's because the revenue guidelines have changed. The president gritted his teeth and said arrogantly, he thinks this can threaten me. Income guidelines, forget it. My essence is a failed repeater. The man who is frustrated in love is so pitiful. The glass curtain wall reflects the cold profile of the president. I want to meet Huangfu Mario, you can make an appointment. My God! After working for so long, am I finally going to go through a normal business negotiation? Call Minister Zhang, and the heroine. And with Minister Zhang, this world is really beautiful. Amen, hallelujah, I am merciful, I am satisfied, I have no more demands. I happily called the second male secretary, who politely said that the second male would join the group to shoot a new film recently, and the business meeting could only be arranged in 2 months. In addition to my grief, I also expressed my understanding. The second male has a serious job, and he is not like a CEO, who hangs around all day and night, and has a lot of time under his command. Hey? The author starts again. No, I don't want to. Before the president smashed things, I quietly blocked in front of the newly bought ice. Drib. Pot, this is my blood and sweat, don't be accidentally injured in this situation. Method, I have to see Huangfu Mario today, or you will get things and get out of here. I can't see you, what can I do? Whether you are the boss or I am the boss, your name doesn't work, can I just report my name? Clap. The heel of the high-heeled shoe snapped, I screamed and covered my sprained ankle. This is a warning from the author. It's too difficult to have a meal, so I can only humbly beg the second man. If the second male is also mentally retarded, my old secret, may be honored to die today. Into the secretary's room, I put on the most flattering and cheerful smile in my life, and leaned in front of the heroine. My lady, a beautiful, kind and gentle lady, I beg you. Is it a matter? The heroine looked at me with clear eyes and nodded at me. Sister Shushu, tell me, as long as the little master can help, the little master will definitely do her best. What a nice girl! Are you familiar with Mr. Huangfu? Can you tell me where he is filming today? The heroine hesitated for a moment. This, not so good. I must look like a perverted bastard. It is really immoral to force others to reveal their private whereabouts, but I have no choice, I am really afraid of death. 2. The president is about to fire me. I still have a month to pay off my credit card, what should I do? If I had a choice, I wouldn't do anything like this. The heroine is a very sympathetic person and will definitely eat my way. The hostess looked at the 2 black tears that my mascara had turned into, and couldn't bear it. She handed me a tissue and whispered, then, the little host will tell Sister Shushu this time. The next is not an example. The heroine is really kind. I'm going to blow a rainbow fart for your whole life. Be your lick. I suddenly don't want to pair up the heroine and the president. Such a good girl should be matched with a man with a clear mind. The author has something to say. Thanks to the little angel who voted for me or irrigated nutrient solution during 2020032823:53:4120033116:14:46. Thanks to the little angel who irrigated the nutrient solution, Mo Lin round 20 bottles, thank you very much for your support to me, I will continue to work hard. Taking the address given to me by the hostess, I called the logistics department of Bassian Group and wanted to borrow an official car. I was told that all the buses of the group were dispatched today. I was shocked, how could it be possible? The dignified Bassian Group, the world's #1 Bassian Group, shouldn't have countless luxury cars sitting obediently in a row in the garage. Later I figured it out, maybe the author has not written a plot related to the official car, so the setting of the bus is blank. Then there is no other way, I have to take out my mobile phone and call an online car-hailing car at my own expense, and I will reimburse it later. The second male was filming a costume movie recently. Today, he was shooting a scene in a barren mountain. The fare plus the toll was more than 300 yuan and nearly 400 yuan. Lungs and kidneys are shaking. The eldest brother of the driver is very kind, and he was very worried when he saw the tears on my face. He glanced at the rearview mirror many times, and repeatedly confirmed to me that I did not come here to commit suicide by jumping off a cliff. Incessantly speaking, he spent several hours conducting all-round psychological counseling for me, from the Russian October Revolution to Marxist philosophy, trying to help me re-establish a scientific and positive value. The driver is very envious. Little girl, how much does a group show cost a day? You can still spend so much money for a taxi. Now, I want to pursue my childhood dream of being an actor. The driver's brother thought for a while. Ah, little girl, I remembered, you just got on the bus from Bassian Group, you are not the daughter-in-law of the president of Bassian Group. No, I am the lackey of the president of Bassian Group. I stubbornly turned my head and looked out the window, refusing to have another conversation with the driver. Finally arrived at the destination, the studio is very conspicuous, and there are many people on the empty yellow sand at the foot of the mountain. The driver's brother helped me find the place where the extras gathered and let me out of the car. I pretended to be, but it didn't matter. To look more like it, I tugged my hair hard. Doing a line of work must love it, and pretend to be like it. This is my basic requirement for my work attitude. Maybe it's too similar, I'm in and out of the crew like no one else. I crouched in a circle with the resting group performers, overheard their conversation for a while, and learned that the RV that was not far away was the second male. When no one was paying attention, I sneaked over like a thief, stuck it on the door, and knocked on the door. This is Mr. Huangfu's latest autographed photo. Don't forget that Mr. Huangfu's new drama Hurry Up and Run and the series Male and Horses Don't Eat Grass will be released soon, please come to the cinema to support. Just a moment. The other party is so professional, I also put on a professional mechanical smile. Hello, I am the secretary of the Bassian Group President's Secretary Office, I want to communicate with Mr. Huangfu for a business meeting. Could you please let me know about any related matters? The fat brother frowned, took a step back with his arms in his arms, and looked at me from top to bottom. I was wearing a messy chicken coop head, a mess of makeup on my face, and a dirty and torn beggar's outfit. The fat brother's eyes were full of alertness, and the words "I don't believe" were written brightly on his face. The car door opened again, and the male voice was low and gentle above my head, "Come up." A slender white hand stretched out in front of me. I looked up and saw a delicate and handsome face looking at me with a warm smile. Although I have seen the appearance of the second man on TV and newspapers a lot, this is the first time I have seen a real person, and I look 100 times better than on TV. I was dizzy and pulled into the car by the second man, and then I remembered what I was here for, and hurriedly showed my professionalism and explained to the second man my intention. After I finished speaking, I stared at the second male nervously, sweating so hard that I didn't dare to move. My old secret's life is here, and if the second male also dropped a sentence coldly and disappeared, I'm going back to the city to pick a cemetery for myself. The second male had a shallow smile on his mouth and nodded lightly. See you then, I can't let the president embarrass you because of my relationship. I stood up and bowed deeply to the second male, incoherently excited. Thank you. I really appreciate you. I really don't know what to say. Express my admiration for you, and your new play will definitely sell. The roof of the actor's RV is so high that I didn't even touch my head when I stood up. The second male waved his hand and let me sit down. Actually, I have an unkind request, I may have to trouble Miss M.I. My eyes were full of tears, and my chest was full of blood. The second male seemed to be amused by my serious expression. I heard that the female lead is working under Miss Me. The female lead is a fledgling college student. There will inevitably be some omissions in her work. Please bear with me, miss, and take care of the heroine for me. I asked a question that had been entrenched in my heart for 3 minutes and 15 seconds, why do you agree to let the heroine enter the Bassian group? Be the heroine directly in the Huangfu group. Wouldn't it be easier to arrange a position? She should support her to do everything she wants to do. When she is tired and injured, the door of Huangfu group will always be open for her. Listen to the emotional intelligence of others, look at this bit of others. If I hadn't had a deep-rooted love for Minister Zhang, I would have fallen. President, you're done. I'm a little scared, I don't know if the president will agree, but don't let me run 100 kilometers in vain, the old man said. Too far, don't go. I called the president tremblingly and explained the situation. The president's coldness came over the phone. Okay, come back now. President, I am already here with Mr. Huangfu. The president's cold voice was a little impatient. Give you 30 minutes. My hands trembled along with my heart, and I asked reluctantly, do you mean that I don't have to be your accompanying secretary later on and attend your meeting with Mr. Huangfu? The president blew my fantasy mercilessly. You come back and drive. Mind you, you have 29 minutes and 15 seconds left. Are you kidding? Ah! I finally came over. Go back and then come back with you? Am I fed up? Do you want me to drive? Where's your driver? Hey? If I hadn't been worried about maintaining a good image in front of the actor, I would have been sitting on the ground and crying. The second male sighed when he saw my despairing appearance, and patted my shoulders sympathetically. You can wash and change your clothes in the car, and I will ask the driver to take you back. You see, it's not that I want to resign, it's that the contrast is too strong. A little impulse burst out from the bottom of my heart, and I wanted to ask if the second male Huangfu group was still recruiting people. The second male called the fat brother just now and asked the fat brother to find a car to take me back to the city. Taking advantage of the fat brother looking for the car, I smiled and approached the second male coyly. Mr. Huangfu, do you still have any staff? The fat brother came back. Mr. Huangfu, the car the driver drove over had a flat tire just now. I silently shut my mouth. The author won't let me resign. I'm afraid I won't be able to go back today if I say one more sentence. When everyone worked together to change the spare tire, the driver hurriedly took me back to Bassian Group. I lifted my wrist and looked at my watch. It was already 2 hours later. The president's face was so low that it was scary to death, and there was a hint of anger in his voice. Secretary, you are late. With the comparison of the second male pearl and jade in the sky and the ground, I don't want to talk to the president anymore. The explanation is superfluous. I lowered my head and said, I'm sorry. The president snorted coldly and threw an eye knife at me, without further entanglement. The departure vehicle seating arrangement is, I am driving, the president and the hostess sit in the back row, Minister Zhang drives his own car and follows. So why can't I wait on set and let Minister Zhang drive? Don't ask. Asking is God's will, asking is destiny, asking is doomed. Because of driving such an expensive car, a scratch on the headlights is a price I can't afford. I was very cautious and didn't pay attention to the situation in the rear. After driving out for more than half an hour, the president suddenly called me to stop in a gloomy tone. Secretary, you go down. The president's legal awareness is really lacking. I firmly rejected his unreasonable request. I'm sorry, President, that is illegal parking on the highway. Parking, fine of 200 yuan, 6 points. The president's face turned blue, and my resistance probably aroused his anger. You didn't hear me? I asked you to pull over. There is an emergency lane on the side. It is illegal and immoral to occupy the emergency lane indiscriminately. We must firmly resist it. You're off, and I won't do anything against traffic rules. If you drive a motor vehicle other than an operating passenger car and park in the emergency lane in a non-emergency situation, you will be fined 200 yuan and deducted 6 points. The author has something to say. If you are interested, please bookmark it. Someone will be motivated to keep going. Crab and crab, bow thanks to the little angel who voted for me or irrigated nutrient solution during 2020033116:14:2020040218:57:44 thanks to the little angel who irrigated the nutrient solution, 10 bottles of Emolin Ran. Thank you very much for your support. I will continue to work hard. I finally drove to the service area. The second I almost stopped the car, I was driven out of the car by the president. I thought someone wanted to stay in a car with him. I felt a little tired from running back and forth throughout the day, and I decided to go to the supermarket to buy a can of coffee for Minister Zhang to refresh myself. I bought a drink and ran into Minister Zhang. I got into the co-pilot of Minister Zhang's car. As soon as I handed him the coffee, I caught a glimpse of the CEO in the next parking space getting out of the car. To vent at the place, if you raise your feet, you will kick the street lights beside the road in the service area. I screamed and threw down the coffee, rushed out of the car, knocked down the president, and desperately hugged the president's thigh. Don't be impulsive, President. Deliberately destroy street lights, mailboxes, and public phones. Or other public facilities, which are not enough for criminal punishment, shall be detained for not more than 15 days or given a warning, and a fine of not more than 200 yuan may be imposed alone or in combination. The president took a deep breath, lowered his head and stared at me with fierce eyes, and warned me word by word, "Woman, if you are deliberately trying to provoke me, I tell me you, then you succeeded." Seeing that the president had given up the attempt to destroy public facilities, I patted the ashes all over my body and stood up quickly. "No, I just want to do what a citizen should do. You please continue to walk around here to express your emotions, but please stop destroying public property." I turned around and went back to Minister Zhang's car. I recalled what happened just now and felt a little uneasy in my heart, and asked Minister Zhang anxiously, "Minister Zhang, do you think my actions just now became a scheming?" The female secretary deliberately had close contact with the president in front of the heroine. Minister Zhang nodded heavily and handed me a wet tissue. "Wipe it, don't care about those irrelevant main plots, you're suffering. Forget it." After hearing about my experience in the suburbs, Minister Zhang adjusted the seat back for me thoughtfully, took off his suit jacket and draped it over me, and played the soothing sound at a very low volume. The music, and said to me gently, "Go to sleep for a while, and drive a long time, I'll call you when I get there." All men in this world are more gentle and considerate than the president, but the author wants to write the president as a male, which is really good luck. I was thinking about it in my head, and I fell asleep before I knew it. I was awakened by the vibration of my mobile phone, and I picked up the phone in a daze. On the other end of the phone came the indifferent instruction of the president, "Secretary, the mistress is thirsty, bring some water. It's only 10 minutes from the service area, why didn't you say it?" Of course it is impossible for me to agree to such an unreasonable request. Parking on the expressway is tantamount to risking one's own life and the lives of others. When a motor vehicle is driving normally on the expressway, it shall not drive on the emergency parking zone and the shoulder of the road except when it is parked into or out of the emergency parking zone and the road shoulder. The president's anger accumulated to the brink of eruption. "Don't let me say the same thing again. When driving a motor vehicle, you must not make or answer a handheld phone. Violators will be fined 200 yuan and deducted 2 points. If you have anything, please go to the next service area and tell me again. Bye." After I finished speaking, I hung up the phone. In order to prevent the president from continuing to violate traffic laws due to lack of self-control, I shut down the phone in time to reduce the risk of the president endangering traffic safety. Possibility. If the president insists on calling other people, then I can't control it. At least I have fulfilled the obligation to remind me, and I have no regrets. Ah yes, Minister Zhang, please turn off the phone too, in case the president calls you. Before he finished speaking, Minister Zhang's phone on the armrest box of the car turned on. "Get up, the caller shows the president." Minister Zhang smiled and said yes. I am pleased to help Minister Zhang turn off the machine. Fortunately, I reminded at the right time, otherwise the president will violate traffic laws again. I am a good secretary. The president's harassment was cut off. Minister Zhang and I talked and laughed along the way, and arrived at our destination happily. The second man had finished filming for a day and was removing his makeup in the nanny's car. I politely knocked on the door, greeted him a few words, and then returned to Minister Zhang's car. For the first business negotiation I participated in my career, I made a lot of preparations in advance. I checked the generational grievances between the Bassian group and the Huangfu family on the internet, and prepared for several possible meeting scenarios. I made a PPT out of my psychological expectations. In addition, I also brought a laptop, a power strip, a voice recorder, and all other equipment that I might need. Minister Zhang helped me unload these things with a complicated expression: "Don't bring these things next time, you won't need them." Minister Zhang is an old man with very senior work experience, and I am very surprised to say such a thing. But after a while I understood what Minister Zhang meant. The first business meeting of this legendary man, was a scene of a large chicken pecking at each other. The president shouted at the second male with a stern voice, "Dare to steal my woman, I think you are tired of living." The heroine cried so hard that she was wiping her tears while standing in the middle of the two to persuade them to fight. "Please, please don't fight for the little master again." The second male gently stretched out his hand and pushed the female lead away, and said affectionately, "Little lord, this is a matter between me and him, you don't care." It's really strange, when I see the second male during the day, he is quite normal. How can he go crazy when he is in the same frame with the president? The president was furious, and the extreme anger in his heart was almost uncontrollable. "Who gave you the courage to touch her? Which hand touched her? Did you do it yourself or I did it?" The second male also chewed his teeth. "President, come on. Let's have a duel between a man and a man." I brought 2 ponytails borrowed from the crew and gave one to Minister Zhang. Minister Zhang pulled out a bucket of popcorn and a bottle of Coke from his car and handed it to me. I held kika and chewed a couple of bites. I felt that this kind of 8 o'clock plot was not suitable for popcorn, so I discussed with Minister Zhang, "Minister Zhang, will you bring a pack of sunflower seeds next time?" Minister Zhang smacked his lips and thought for a while, and agreed, "Okay. It's a bit windy at night here, why don't we move to the side blocked by the car?" I was a little unwilling to let go of the plot here and asked, "Can you still hear it clearly?" Minister Zhang showed a knowing smile, patted his chest and assured me, "Don't worry, I tried it just now, and I heard it clearly." The one who knew me was Minister Zhang. We both looked at each other in embarrassment and smiled, and thiefly moved the maza and popcorn to the leeward. I also used the friendship I accumulated during the day in the crew for an afternoon, and asked the lighting teacher to light up the 3 of them. Unfortunately, the president and the second male just screamed wildly, but didn't really fight, and even started a battle with hip-hop. I watched it for a while and found it very boring. The well-informed Minister Zhang was also shocked, frowned, and poked me with his elbow. "What are they doing?" I don't know if I should recommend Minister Zhang to watch that divine drama, and after thinking about it, I decided not to poison his heart. Maybe it was an idle drama many years ago that the author left behind its too deep psychological shadow. Forget it and don't ask any more. It was getting late. I wiped the oil on my hands, walked to the center of the stage where there is love and life, grabbed the sweaty CEO, and discouraged, "It is a violation of the public security punishment law to cause minor injuries to the other party in a fight, and it is a criminal case to cause minor injuries to the other party, so let's stop." The president pushed me away, his eyes were full of unwillingness to admit defeat, and his legs were still jumping tenaciously. I changed to a method that may be more acceptable to the president. "Your status is noble, and it is not suitable for you to be involved in such a case. It will damage the corporate image of Bassian Group." The president gave the second man a vicious look and withdrew his hand. I privately pulled the second male aside. "Tell me about you, it's not fine in the afternoon, why do you do this?" The second male was a little embarrassed to see me, and avoided my questioning eyes. "For the sake of KPI, haven't you read the outline? This is an important point in the author's performance appraisal for me." I shook my head in despair. "I am such an unimportant little character, I don't have the right to read the outline." The only time I peeked for a few seconds was the golden finger that the author gave me. "Secretary." The cold voice of the president sounded. I quietly waved goodbye to the second male, and quickly ran to the president. "What are your instructions, President?" The president calmly glanced at the hostess and told me, "It's too late to go back today, you book a hotel." "Ah, president, don't you think, you don't do it very well." I tried my best to put away my contemptuous expression, and honestly took out my phone and searched for nearby hotels. The president also wants to live. Of course, I have to choose a hotel that is most worthy of the status of the president. I chose 3 and put them in the comparison column, and handed the phone to the president to choose. The president chose the most expensive Super 7-star hotel. But I encountered a little difficulty when booking a room. I smiled flatteringly at the president. "President, the hotel at this price can't be reimbursed through the company's account, or you can pay it in advance." The words price and reimbursement may be new words that the president has never heard of. Why? Since I am asking for others, I respectfully explained, the company has regulations that the travel standard of ordinary employees shall not be higher than 200 per person per night, and the position of director and above shall not be higher than per person per night. 1,000. The most common room type in this hotel costs 6,000 yuan per night, which is far beyond the standard. The president glanced at me disdainfully, and handed me a black card. "The password is 123456. I took the card with my hands and smiled like a morning glory. "Thank you, President. I will return it to you after checking out at the hotel tomorrow." The president snorted coldly, "No need, you keep it, lest people laugh at me next time that the people of Basian Group can't even pay for the hotel." Obscenely, he shook his head and said, "Although there are many cases of swiping credit cards from relatives and friends, according to the administrative measures for credit card business, credit cards are limited to the legal card holders themselves, and card holders are not allowed to rent or lend credit cards and their accounts. There is no one in this world as honest and selfless as me." The president warned me in a low, hoarse voice, "Woman, don't challenge my bottom line again and again." After the warning, she probably didn't want to talk to me again, and she didn't look at me again until I checked in at the hotel. In fact, 3 rooms were enough. The president himself lived in a luxurious presidential suite, Minister Zhang opened one, and the hostess and I lived in a twin room, just right. The president insisted on opening 4 rooms and letting the hostess live in one. I'm afraid I'll get in his way, right? It is really ulterior motives and very outrageous. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any reason to refute the president. I turned around and winked at the heroine to signal her rejection. The heroine was still immersed in the world where 2 men were fighting for her, silently crying, as if she was isolated from the outside world. "It's the same, no matter what you say to her, you can't count on her. Alas! That's all, everyone has their own lives, so I can't take care of that much anymore." I allocated a room card to each person. While waiting for the elevator, I made a secret plan in my heart. Later, I planned to ask Minister Zhang to go to the executive lounge in the lobby downstairs for a drink. Who says women can only wait for men to take the initiative? As women in the new era, everyone has equal rights to pursue love. Maybe this evening is the day when Minister Zhang and I have a good time. After I sent the president to the presidential suite on the top floor, I took the elevator downstairs. I wanted to pick a good seat by the window first, and then called Minister Zhang to come down. I didn't expect to meet the second male in the executive lounge. I was taken aback. "Mr. Huangfu, why are you here?" The second male looked very depressed. "I just heard on the set that you would be staying here tonight, so I followed. When I think about it, I think he is really miserable. The second-born male will always be crushed and forced to dance in public. I sympathize with him and comfort him gently. Mr. Huangfu, in fact, you don't need to care, the hostess and the president are here because she is an employee of our Basian Group and has no personal feelings at all." The second man lowered his head and stared at the carpet in the hotel lobby for a while, thinking thoughtfully, "Miss Me, can you help me call the little master down?" I sighed and opened the backpack. "Is your phone out of power? I carry all kinds of charging cables with me." The second male waved his hand. with a bit of bitterness in his smile, "No, that kind of thing happened today, I'm afraid she doesn't want to see me. I just hate that iron is not steel, Mr. Huangfu, if the mistress doesn't want to see you, what's the use of me deceiving her? You can't do this, you will only miss out if you just endure and retreat, you have to be brave, take the initiative, and take the initiative. Show your max boyfriend power." The second male said, "Do you really think so? Isn't the second man always missed the opportunity like this since ancient times?" I couldn't stand it anymore, so I slapped the table to give emotional guidance. "Yes. You rush up, tell the hostess directly that you love her, and ask her if she wants to be with you. Don't stop talking, don't suggest, don't get me wrong, don't miss it." The second male is still hesitating. Really, the second male is not in a hurry to kill the secretary. I quickly pushed the second male's arm. "You can hurry up. Call now, I'm looking at you beat." In order to prevent the second male from flinching again, I squatted behind a large pot of birds of paradise on the stone path leading to the garden from the lobby, and stared at the second male with I am Wachinju's big brother eyes until I saw the heroine burst into laughter, and the two embraced affectionately. Then they took the elevator upstairs together. The second male cast a grateful look at me from afar in the elevator. "Hey? It's not right? I seem to have unknowingly managed to match the second male lead and female lead? Done." I slapped my thigh. What if the president goes to the hostess's room while thinking about his lower body? Then I'll fall short. For the happiness and sexuality of the second male and female lead, I gave it my all and decided to hold off the president. I lip-mouthed the second male from a distance. The content was, "Give me money. Minister Zhang, let's have a romantic date next time, woohoo." Almost as soon as I knocked on the door of the presidential suite, it opened. I don't know how long the president has been standing behind the door. The president saw that it was me, and a hint of disappointment flashed in his cold eyes. I pretended not to see the disgusted look in the president's eyes, just squeezed into the room through the gap between the president and the door cover, blocked the way of the president with my body, crossed my hands and bowed slightly, and asked respectfully said, "President, do you need anything else before going to bed tonight?" The coldness in the president's voice was like a bloodthirsty monster. "No, you go out. I am a deaf and blind man who can't hear or see, so I firmly lowered my eyes and didn't look at him." "Okay. Do you need me to book a hotel spa for you?" The president took a deep breath. It should be the anger shouting in the marrow of patience. "No." I still keep a professional smile. "Okay. Do you need champagne and ice?" "Don't." "Okay. Do I need a scented candle from Siretruden?" "Don't." "Okay. Do you need Remed's moisturizing lotion?" "Yes." "Okay, but I didn't. What to do? The second male and female lead should not be finished by now, right? I'm in a hurry, I don't have a moisturizing lotion, but I have a laptop, and I can delay every second, so I bluntly changed the topic. "President, I just received the next quarter's performance forecast report from Europe. Why don't I show it to you now?" The president turned around and sat on the sofa, with his arms propped up on the armrests, his index finger slid across his slender and sharp black eyes, and answered irrelevantly, "Secretary, don't you want me to go to the hostess?" I replied without hesitation, "Don't want to, The president smiled coldly, "Woman, don't forget your identity." A very familiar line. What is the second half of this sentence usually? "You're just my mistress." The president's scrutiny glance swept across my face. "Do you want to be my mistress?" I suddenly realized that I tried to seduce the president's female secretary, so that's how I came to be. In order to avoid the president's misunderstanding, I began to persuade me bitterly, "President, I may have gone too far, but after all, a strong melon is not sweet, and the heroine does not have you in her heart, so don't reluctantly." Afraid that the president would lash out and hit me on the spot, I hurriedly added, "If you have such an unparalleled quality as you, who can't find someone else. A lot of women are waiting to pounce on you. What are you doing? You have to die on a tree. Are you right? The president leaned back slightly, half hidden in the dim yellow light of the floor lamp, his eyebrows slanted, and his vocal cords teased, "Woman, are you jealous?" I suddenly don't know how to answer. If I deny it outright, the president will throw me out of the house immediately, and then go to the hostess. What should I do? I don't know how much the second male lead will pay me, and whether it will make up for the psychological trauma of talking to the big fool like the president. Okay. If the second male pays me a lot of money, enough for the rest of my life to eat, drink, have fun, and live a rich and boring life, can I just quit my job? My hand is itchy all of a sudden. I want to click on mobile banking to check the balance. Although I didn't tell the second male about my bank account number, but he is the second male. He can read the author's outline at any time. There must be a way to know. Would you like to buy an island in the South Pacific? Raise a few more small fresh meat. From now on, the king will not go to court early? By the way, where is the written resignation application? Come here. The president seemed to be calling a cat and a dog. The feeling of being interrupted by daydreams is not very good. I reluctantly dawdled and moved to the CEO's side. The president bathed in the shadows with a gloomy expression. His tone was lazy and obscure. If you ask me, I will give it to you. Hey? For what? You can't get my heart without telling you first. The author, the light in the room is too dark, I can't see clearly. I politely took a half step back. No need, leave your people and heart to others, farewell. After I finished speaking, I left the president's room with lightning speed, in case he suddenly became a beast. When he closed the door, he seemed to say something behind me, but I didn't catch it. It doesn't matter, I don't want to be the president's mistress anyway. I wasted a great opportunity to fall in love with Minister Zhang, I hate it. I went back to my room, opened the door and saw 2 pieces of paper on the ground, which must have been stuffed by someone just now. Simple black and white. I'm a little confused, are all the small advertisements so simple now? Not even a color print. Pictures are very important. Humans' ability to memorize images is far greater than that of words. I can't bear to spend the blood, I can't catch a wolf. These people do not have the spirit of doing 1 line of work and 1 line of love. I squatted down and planned to pick up the paper and throw it in the trash. I looked at the first one first. It turned out to be a small note left by the second man. The second man wrote a few words of thanks in his own hand, and please let me hold the president tonight. It can be seen that the handwriting of the second male was in a hurry. Well, at that time, it must be in a hurry. Although I am a single mother and child, I still understand some of the physiological and hygiene knowledge that I should understand. I smack my lips knowingly, bend down, and pick up the second small note. It's a check for $500,000. It's true, I counted it back and forth several times, the Arabic numerals and Chinese capitals match, it is $500,000 yuan. An overwhelming feeling of joy came over me. I am so happy. Although the lover, the second male lead and the female lead, is also very happy, but it is an illusory happiness that cannot be seen or touched. There is no such real joy as this small paper check. To be honest, my monthly salary is only 4,300 yuan before tax, and I have to fill in OT through the OA system for overtime work. The group of people in the office often refuse to work overtime for one reason or another. Fee. Not to mention reimbursement, I deeply doubt that the company has designed such a complicated reimbursement process to occupy employee funds for free for a long time. I happily put the check in my wallet and kissed. For the check of $500,000, I have made a major decision. My old secret, I'm going to sleep at the door of the CEO's room today. I vowed not to let the president step out of the door. I will do my best to create a warm and private environment for the second male and female lead. I hugged the pillow, took the elevator to the top floor as if I was dying, and lay down at the door of the presidential suite. I am the real Carmen, please call me Carmen me. I didn't sleep well this night. The security guard of the hotel came up and interrogated once after seeing the surveillance. I explained that it was my boss who lived in the suite, and in case he needed anything at night, he slept at the door to give immediate feedback. The security guard shed tears of sympathy. He sat side by side with me and talked about unfair treatment in the workplace for a long time. Then the night shift security guard got off work. The security guard who was on the morning shift also saw the surveillance and came up to question him again. I once again cooperated with this new security guard and shed a round of sad tears. In the end, the leader of the security team felt that something was wrong and came up again. The sky is getting brighter in the east. I lay flat on my back, resting my head on one hand, looking straight at the ceiling, feeling sad. For the first time in my life, I stayed in a super 7-star hotel. I actually gave up the comfortable room and the opportunity to spend the next month with my favorite Minister Zhang. I lay down in the hotel corridor for one night, and also couldn't fall asleep. I don't know if I'll ever have the chance to stay again in a hotel of this price. The door opened with a click, and a pair of shiny Italian handmade custom leather shoes stepped over my lap. Ah! Ah, my screams are like Devil May Cry. He regained his iceberg face, and swept the vamp with the back of his hand in disgust. Secretary, what are you doing? I got up in embarrassment, a little embarrassed. What should I say? Said that I received money from the second mail, and deliberately squatted here to block the president, so that he would not destroy the world of two people? Will you be fired? I bowed my head and twisted my fingers, hesitantly not knowing how to say, I. The president squinted at me, his eyes swept across my face inch by inch, and suddenly realized, woman, this kind of behavior of yours is useless. I raised my head and looked at the president in horror. Did the president find out that I secretly received money from men? It stands to reason that I am already wealthy. I don't care if I have this job or not, but the author doesn't think so. Besides, I haven't caught up with Minister Zhang yet, so I can't leave Bassian Group yet. The handsome face of the president showed a thoughtful look. Woman, are you playing hard to offend? That's why you escaped last night? You are not satisfied and can only be my mistress. Do you still want my heart? My expression was about the same as eating shriveled. I was afraid of causing any unnecessary misunderstandings, so I quickly explained, no, I don't want your heart, and I don't mean to want your people, I don't want people or hearts. What do I want your heart for? The corner of the president's mouth raised slightly, and he sneered, oh, a duplicitous woman. Forget it, I don't want to explain it, love it. I was too lazy to pay attention to him. Because of my professional habit, I still pressed the elevator for the president one step ahead. The elevator door opened, the president walked in slowly, glanced at me out of the corner of his eye, and said faintly, my heart is not a weight you can bear. Enough. It's not over yet. The president's eyes suddenly turned gloomy. I pressed the elevator's close button hard. Please go and have breakfast first. I'll find Minister Zhang and the hostess, and I'll meet you later. Sending the president away, I thought about it. I must not take the elevator when I have the idea of resigning. What if the author gets angry and writes about an elevator accident? I have to take the stairs. The fire door of the hotel's stairwell failed and the lock was broken that day, and I was locked in the stairwell for 5 hours. When I returned to the blue sky and breathed the free air again, the president had brought the heroine and Minister Zhang back to Bassian Group. I had to call an online car-hailing car to go back to the city. On the way back to the city, I received the next order from the president. He was going to surprise the hostess downstairs at the hostess's house. Because I live with the hostess, I need to immediately go back and prepare. It must be completed before the heroine gets off work. The president heard that the heroine likes hexagonal dinosaur fish and asked me to dig a fish pond for the heroine downstairs. Hey? What dinosaur? Can it be raised in a fish pond? I took out my phone and searched for a hexagonal dinosaur. It turned out to be an amphibious salamander. How about digging a fish pond? I immediately called the president back, and seriously stopped the president's frantic temptation on the edge of the law. President, according to Article 12 of the Land Administration Law, changing land rights, it is illegal to dig fish ponds in any place without the approval of the competent agricultural land department, without following the land use plan, and without the approval of the competent agricultural land department, causing permanent damage to the land. The president cursed in a low voice, "Damn! Borrowing soil, panning for gold, disposing of sand or silt, blasting, drilling, etc. are not allowed. Please no." The president's attitude changed drastically, his voice was full of irritability and indifference. "Damn! Woman, are you jealous? Do you think you can get me like this? You are just a plaything." Beep beep beep. I can imagine the CEO's blue veins on the other end of the phone, frantically smashing things. In an instant, I felt a little guilty, feeling that I made the president so angry. No. On second thought, I just did what a secretary who knows the law should do, with a clear conscience. There was a check for 500,000 yuan in my bag. I walked to the door of the house while humming a little song in the sunset. Suddenly, I saw the landlady throwing out the hostess's luggage with an angry face. The landlady's son, Xiao Wang, was tearing at the landlady and shouting, "Mom! Why are you doing this to the little master? Why are you driving the little master away? After all, the landlady is a woman, and her strength is not as strong as Xiao Wang, who is in her prime." The landlady was so angry that she slapped Xiao Wang in the face with a backhand and scolded, "As long as I'm here for a day, don't let her enter our door again." Xiao Wang covered his face in disbelief. "Mom! You are too much." After shouting, he turned and ran away. I didn't have time to catch him. Alas, today's young people are too fragile. Anyway, help the hostess to put away the luggage and run. I shook my head helplessly and started picking up the things that the landlady had thrown in the yard. The landlady came over, looking rather embarrassed. "Well, little secretary, don't mind, I was too fierce just now, didn't I scare you? Maybe there is some misunderstanding?" I remembered the favors paid by the second male lead, and felt that I should be a peacemaker for his girlfriend. The landlady, take the liberty to ask, "Do you have any misunderstandings about the female lead? I worked with her recently, and I felt that she, the Lord, is actually a very nice little girl." The landlady replied as a matter of course, for the sake of KPI. "The plot is here, I kicked the heroine out, and she will move to the man's house." After finishing speaking, the landlady looked at me with a nay look. "Don't you have any performance indicators?" I was stunned. It turns out that performance requirements are not only required by the male second, but also by the landlady. I slowly shook my head and said, "I don't, maybe because the role of secretary is too inexistent, a weak NPC who doesn't even need to assess KPIs. So sad, I always thought I was the more important villain in this book." Think about it too, other domineering president's secretaries seem to only have a few words, "Okay, do it right away." He covered his mouth and exclaimed, "My God! The president can actually laugh." Frightened, "Miss, you are the only one who was brought home by the president / taken to the company / taken to the car / appear in public / enter the leak box together / visit the rural commercial cooperatives together / travel together the woman at the turkey breeding base." Trembling with fear, this woman has challenged the bottom line of the president. Oh my God, I'm so scared watching onlookers. Comparing with my peers, I seem to be a little too busy. I couldn't help but feel a little sour in my heart. What is the reward for the performance appraisal? Commission? Is it a bonus? If it is money, it is not too much loss. After all, I am a person who holds 500,000 in my hands. At present, the desire for money is not so urgent. The landlady shook her head and replied, "It's the wish value, and you can change your wish if you accumulate it to a certain extent. That is, when the readers are watching the main storyline, the author writes you a wish that will come true. The branch line, readers can't see it anyway. The landlady showed a shy smile as she said, "This time it's a big test for me to kick the heroine out, and my wish is worth a lot, enough to bring my dead husband back to life. That's a bright golden finger. It can violate the natural laws of birth, aging, sickness and death, which is really enviable." I suddenly began to understand a little bit of the psychology that the second male would have to dance with the president in public regardless of the image of the actor. I don't know what his wish was. Will the new play break 10 billion at the box office? I have to admit that I was quite lost after hearing about this. I felt abandoned by the author. Eat, the president's call is coming. When the heroine came to Bassian Group for an interview, the president gave her the key to a villa of 1,000 square kilometers. Now the homeless heroine can only live there temporarily. The original words are "until the house is full." A villa of 1,000 square kilometers. Converted, it is 100,000 hectares, which is 1.5 million acres of land, and the whole of Mumbai is as big as that. How much do I have to buy to fill such a large space? In order not to kill myself in the president's mansion, I rode a shared bicycle in. So happy. Have you ever experienced the feeling of riding a bicycle freely in a large house of 1,000 square kilometers? I've been riding for a long time, and I haven't ridden out the entrance. The park downstairs in my house is not this big. The sound of the wind whistling in my ears is a passionate movement. On the expensive marble floor, I raise the faucet, lift the rear wheel, and pedal down the sky. Immoral behavior, please do not imitate. I didn't have a good time, I fell to the ground with my car. This may be God's punishment for my incorrect use of shared bicycles, a semi-shared item. I feel very guilty in my heart. Fortunately the car is not broken. I was hugging my legs and screaming when I suddenly felt a swish coolness on the back of my head. "Secretary, what are you doing?" I almost forgot what this trip was for. So embarrassing, how to explain it? I clenched my fist hard and replied in a strong voice, "Exercise your body so that you can continue to contribute to the cause of socialism." This answer is absolutely impossible for the president to refute, otherwise it is a problem of ideological awareness. What? Trying to perform mountain bike acrobatics at your house for a chance to touch porcelain? The corner of the president's mouth hung a helpless and doting smile. "Damn woman, what should I do with you?" I blinked twitching eyes and pursed my lips uneasily at the manic and gentle president, trying to assess his mental state. The president showed his prosperous beauty without hesitation. "Tell me, what do you want?" "I can give you everything except love." I understand, the president may have lost himself in my psychedelic operations these 2 days. I gave the president a professional smile, polite and distant. "President, you see clearly, I'm not the heroine, I'm your secretary." The president took a deep breath and explained to me for some reason, "I don't live here, the house is just lent to the hostess to live in temporarily." "Okay, how about the hostess?" I counted the time, and I had to quickly find the hostess and make a shopping list. The mall closes at 10 o'clock. I bought the much-needed daily necessities, and let's talk about the rest tomorrow. It's really useless when you think about it, it's only 4,300 yuan a month, and even the personal supplies of the woman the president has a crush on is responsible for. I got up from the ground and smiled shyly. Flatteringly, he tiptoed, "President, I'll discuss with you." When I joined the company, I said that the position was secretary, and now I also have to work as a life assistant for the hostess. Isn't it inappropriate? You said that the world's prices are soaring. The president narrowed his eyes slightly. "Secretary, are you dissatisfied?" I quickly restrained my smile. "I'm not dissatisfied, just try to see if I can raise my salary, and if it doesn't work, forget it. Although wages are low, something is better than nothing." The thin anger on the president's face gradually appeared, and his voice became impatient. I have already explained, I have nothing to do with her. What do you want from me? I'm sorry. I admit it. Talking about chickens and ducks is the eternal tone of communication between the CEO and me. Seeing that I had a good attitude of admitting my mistake, the CEO's attitude softened a little. You can't get my love, I will compensate you in other ways. My eyes were full of stars, my aunt smiled at the corner of my mouth, nodded vigorously, and waited impatiently for the president's next words. The president took a step back and looked at me with a half smile. I'm going on a business trip abroad, and it is a great honor for you to go with me. I was petrified in place, speechless for a long time. The president glanced at me proudly. Are you very moved? The author also knows the reward wish value. Your reward is a business trip. Why don't you say that the reward is 10 ppt, 20 reports, 30 reports? Speaking of this, I think of the prizes of our Bassian Group annual meeting. The first prizes of other companies' annual meetings are all about traveling abroad. No, you can also send 200 yuan in cash red envelopes. The first prize of our Bassian Group is a chance to have lunch with the president. The grand prize is one chance each for lunch and dinner with the president. Laughing, the winners also pretend to be surprised and grateful, and the scenes are very touching every year. See if there are any works. This is the style of Bassian Group. Although I am reluctant, as a secretary, it is my duty to accompany the president when he is on a business trip. I will never shirk my work responsibilities because of personal feelings. I took out the work notepad I carried with me. Okay, when do you leave? Now. I hesitated for a moment, the matter of purchasing household items for the hostess. Gloomy dark clouds gathered in the eyes of the CEO, and the CEO punched the wall. Damn it! Do you want to buy something, or be my mistress? Don't say it, I really don't think too much about both. And, is a business trip a mistress? I agree to a temporary business trip out of professionalism. Fortunately, I am a secretary who is used to making full preparations, so keep my passport and various documents with me. When I took out my passport, something suddenly occurred to me. President, may I ask which country are you going on a business trip? I haven't applied for a visa yet. The violence in the president's blood suddenly raged around me. Excuse me, what did you just say? Actually, I understood, but I didn't understand. The president's patience has reached the extreme. Go to a country that does not require a visa. Now go to the airport, you buy a plane ticket and book a hotel on the way. Any country you want to go to? Is this really the rhythm of going on a business trip? I stopped in place, a little afraid that the president would abduct me to some strange place to be an illegal laborer. The president took 2 steps and found that I was not following. He stopped and turned around. The entire porch was frozen into a frozen warehouse by the cold and gloomy eyes of the president. As a secretary, do it in advance. It's up to you to prepare everything, and you want me to remind you. There are no relevant records. The president's face was full of chills. I don't listen to these explanations. Also, other domineering presidents Wenli's business trips are always on the go, and I have never heard of anyone who wants to apply for a visa. But I am still very sad, because of the president's criticism, I have questioned my ability to work. On the way to the airport, I didn't dare to talk to the president again, and I didn't dare to look at him, for fear that he would criticize my work attitude again. And I was really confused when booking air tickets and hotels. The president said that I can go to any country for business trips, so where do I choose? When I arrived at the airport, I unexpectedly saw the hostess dragging a large suitcase. I'll just say, why would you go on a business trip for no reason? The author has something to say. Would you like a favorite woo-woo? On the plane, the president went to the first class alone to enjoy the beautiful life of the rich, and the hostess and I squeezed into the economy class. Because the reservation was late, the few good seats in the economy class were all selected, and the hostess and I could only sit in the middle 2 of the 4-person row seats and could not stand. No, I want to go to the toilet and I have to say I'm sorry, please let me go 100 times to the person next to the aisle. I really hate economy class on international flights. In order to pass the long flight time, I randomly found a topic and chatted with the hostess. Lady, why did you come to the airport first? You are not in the president's 1,000 square kilometers. A villa? The president also asked me to buy necessities for you. The hostess looked at me with a puzzled face. Little host doesn't live in the villa, little host didn't take the key to that villa, the president asked. Mr. Not far from the airport, I took a taxi directly when I received a business trip notice. I was extremely shocked. Did the president make up a lot of rhetoric today just to let me pick him up from the villa and serve him as a free driver? This is not the first time. I was very indignant in my heart. Why the driver Lao Zhao can get paid for nothing without working, and I have to do so many things with money that is not much higher than the tax threshold. Just when I thought that this trip was just the president taking the opportunity to take the hostess out to play, and planning to sleep through the flight, the beautiful stewardess came over with a smile and stopped at the I leaned over slightly and asked politely, "Is that Ms. Me? Mr. President is looking for you. Will I be sentenced for making trouble on a cross-border plane?" My heart was ashes as I watched the flight attendant go to the first class. The president reclined lazily in the wide seat, his slender legs wrapped in custom trousers were 2.8 meters tall, he unbuttoned the 2 buttons on the neckline, and the tie was crooked. Hanging on his neck, his eyes are covered with dark green silk blindfolds, and his hair is messy. I have to say, this appearance looks a little attractive under the dim cabin lights. However, as long as she thinks that there is an unsound idiot under this good skin, any small flames can be extinguished by the cold water of a reservoir. I walked over and half squatted in the aisle next to the president, and asked softly, "President, do you need anything?" The president did not take off his blindfold, and spoke in a hoarse voice between dreams and half-awakes. "This trip is going to discuss cooperation with the ABC group in the island country, and you will prepare the materials for start meeting immediately." I was stunned for about 3 seconds, followed the CEO's usual style, and asked tentatively, "Are you talking about kickoff meeting?" The president coldly dropped a short nasal voice, "Yet. Am I misreading it? I feel that the CEO's fair skin seems to be a little reddish. 800 country mixed race people also need to learn English. The ocean of knowledge is endless, and people cannot rest on their laurels." In order not to undermine the CEO's overly sensitive self-esteem, I took out from my huge backpack the and green books that I used to learn English when I was in college, and quietly placed them at the CEO's feet. There are a lot of my notes and learning experience there. Oh, I hope the president can understand my good intentions after seeing it. I let go of my obsession with my boss's English learning. I remembered what the president had just ordered. It's strange, why have I never heard of any trade between Basian Group and the island country? I took out my small notebook. "May I ask which field will the cooperation with ABC Group focus on?" The president's answer was short and forceful, "Whatever." I squatted on the spot with a frown, lost in thought. However, my understanding of island countries is very limited, and I can't think of any trade cooperation for a while. Is it aquaculture? I thought about it for a while. Let me first ask about the schedule. After I arrive at the hotel, I will check the information before considering the project. "President, when is the kickoff meeting?" The president tapped his index finger on the armrest twice. "Get off the plane and go directly to ABC Group." I took a deep breath, and I didn't have much time left, so I hurriedly retreated from the first-class cabin, and prepared materials for the meeting. I don't know much about aquaculture. The Wi-Fi provided on the plane is very expensive and slow. I dare not use it recklessly. This PPT is written by me. In addition, taking into account the social responsibility that big companies should shoulder, I also prepared an additional set of popular science PPTs on the prevention of dengue fever in tropical island countries. This should be foolproof. My fingers tapped the keyboard, and I couldn't help feeling sad. The president was enjoying himself in the first-class cabin, the hostess was sleeping beside me on the neck pillow, and I was exhausted by the light of the laptop. Why am I alone? I will never be the secretary of the overbearing president when in my next life. The plane finally landed, ABC Group sent a car to pick us up, the radiant president set off with the radiant heroine and me in a trance. The following is a brief overview of the trip to the island country. On the first day in the island country, the ABC Group gave me a lot of new materials. I went back to the hotel to organize the materials and prepare the report until 4:30 in the morning. The president and the hostess went diving and surfing, and went to the famous restaurants where countless Hollywood stars have checked in to enjoy food. On the second day in the island country, ABC Group made appropriate feedback and adjustments based on my report. I went back to the hotel to organize materials and update the report until 4:30 in the morning. The president and the hostess went for a drive by the beach and went to the night market at the suggestion of the hostess. The hostess happily enjoyed the local snacks, and the president enjoyed the local snacks with integrity. On the third day in the island country, the negotiation with the ABC Group entered a white-hot stage. We studied the preferential trade arrangements in the laws of the two countries together, and tried to find a more beneficial way of cooperation for both parties. Worked overtime in the ABC Group conference room until 4:30 in the morning. The president and the hostess climbed the volcano and sailed on the luxury yacht called the Most Beautiful Sunset, with the brilliance of the sunset and the rippling of the sea, freshly caught seafood feast. On the fourth day in the island country, ABC Group and I had a hard-to-fin debate on the details of the cooperation agreement. The video conference discussion was held until 4:30 in the morning. The president and the hostess drove a motorboat to the sea, and went to the Michelin 3-star restaurant where I made hundreds of reservation calls and had a French meal together. On the fifth day in the island country, the president attended the meeting and signed the seafood farming cooperation agreement with ABC Group. My face was pale, my eyes were blue and black, and my face was full of acne. My painful experience will definitely not be written into the novel, the author will only describe how the president and the heroine play happily in a foreign country. I can even imagine readers' reactions when they read these chapters. Ah, 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 it's too sweet. The president's boyfriend is Max. Ah, ah, I can. Hurry up and confess. The heroine is so gentle. Let's be together. Who can understand my blood and tears outside the camera of their eating, drinking, and having fun? It's really a murder in a previous life, a secretary in this life. On the fifth night in the island country, the president called me into his room after a day's work. The president leaned on the desk in the hotel room, folded his arms, and nodded lightly at me. Secretary, hard work, you can do whatever you want tomorrow, remember the company account. I had to reject the president's proposal. No, thank you, President, I'll just sleep in the hotel. You and the hostess go out to play, don't worry about me. The president had a high-spirited sneer on his face. Woman, you have to be a little bit fun to be my mistress by my side. I have no fun, I just want to sleep, I really want to go home. Tears were shed. The president's tone paused, his deep eyes dimmed. Woman, are you angry? This is my job, of course I won't be angry about it. I shook my head again and again, stretched out the back of my hand and wiped my tears while backing out of the room. I'm sorry, President, I lost my temper because I'm so tired recently, I'm really sorry. You should rest early, I won't disturb you. The president's face changed instantly, and the surrounding aura became cold and biting in the blink of an eye. Terrifying, damn. Are you jealous? Nothing happened to me and that woman. I don't know why, a faint sadness rose in my heart. It doesn't matter to me whether it happens or not. Anyway, I will never return the 500,000 yuan that the second male bought me. I waved my hand weakly. At this time, I just wanted to sleep and squeezed out a bitter smile. President, if you have no other orders, I will go out first. My brain has gradually stopped thinking, and my upper and lower eyelids are constantly fighting, shaking, and drowsy. The president punched the desk without warning and shouted, "Damn it! It's just a plaything, why do I feel heartache when I see the tears in her eyes?" I fell asleep standing up. The author has something to say. Thanks to the little angel who irrigated the nutrient solution, 7 bottles of ink away inspiring. Thank you very much for your support. I will continue to work hard.